I read a thing over the last couple days. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
still reading. I'm not done with it yet. So, Bill, since I know you were more into comics than Clues,
Yeah.
do you remember, um, like Amalgam Comics?
Yeah.
So, Amalgam Comics was the thing that happened after DC versus Marvel. DC versus Marvel was the thing that finally happened, and then there were a series of one shots called Amalgam Comics where they smashed all of the characters together. So, like, you took Batman and
Wolverine.
Wolverine and smashed them together, and you got Dark Claw. You took Superman and Captain America and smashed them together, and you got Super Soldier. And they had entire like histories and everything, because it's not that they actually smashed them together. It's just this was the reality of Amalgam Comics.
Yeah.
Did you know? Also, Piccolo, thank you for the bits. Did you know that Image and Valiant did a sort of similar thing, but without the smashing characters together, but with a taking two universes and putting them together
No,
years before?
What did they combine?
Image and Valiant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of at that period in time what that would have entailed.
What? What do you mean? All of Image?
You just mean all of their properties were just cohabited for a while?
No, there was a storyline called Deathmate
Okay.
where it wasn't good, but like characters from like Wildcats, which was Image, and Hardcore, which was Valiant, got intermingled to where you had the Hard Cats, each letter had a period after it, and you had the Wild Core, and it was and man,
That's weird.
it's weird. I actually own all of the pieces of it because there were only, let's see, a prologue and epilogue, blue, yellow, black, and red. So I mean, is that six? There's only six pieces.
Wow.
And blue and yellow are lots of little like short stories that were just sort of thrown together, and red and black are full stories in each book. And then the prologue and epilogue, the prologue shows how it started, and the epilogue shows how they got out of it.
Okay.
And it was not well done, especially if you have no idea who most of these characters are. Like,
But
I know, because I read Wizard magazine, I knew who like Exo Manowar and who Gen 13. That's actually the first appearance of Gen 13, if I remember correctly, is in Deathmate Black. And
wow, I only knew Gen 13 from Wizard Comics because they really liked talking about how much sex those kids were having.
yeah.
That's like all Wizards ever said about it.
But like, it was, like I said, it wasn't terribly well done, and there was no. It felt very Image, you know. It's all okay. Here's what we're doing. Now do it and get it out there, and it's out. And all right, did it look good? It's all that matters. Like, not to throw off on Image in the '90s, but that
is accurate to '90s Image.
Yeah, it's basically Image in the '90s.
That was their goal. They were made for supreme priority. The look good.
But I read Deathmate Black earlier. I've got Red and the epilogue left.
So you reminding me of Wizard Magazine. Reminded me of one of my favorite bits of Wizard Magazine, which was this one issue that I had where they were going on like most unbelievable things to see print in comic books in their mindset, which was really just an excuse to be like, look at all of these almost naked people, and look at all of these like incredibly violent scenes and all of that stuff.
I think I had that issue.
But this was when I learned how different the Savage Dragon comic book was from the cartoon. And wow.
Is that where you learned about Don't Fuck with God?
That's the picture they put in there,
yeah.
Which of course they censored because they still had to sell Wizard Magazine. But yeah, and like it had this giant like 2-page rundown of the plot as of that point in time of Savage Dragon the comic. And this was while the cartoon was like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, wow. That was insane. Like, I always imagine the differences are between like the sanitized versions of things we get on Saturday mornings versus the original comic books. And I can't think of anything that was more stark in difference than Savage Dragon. Oh, you have a comic itself? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There's
There you
God.
go.
And on the previous page, he no, not the previous page. On a couple pages before he actually kicked Satan in the balls.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Satan kicked God in the balls. Here is
Yeah.
a picture of Satan kicking God in the balls. Whoops, hang on. There we go.
That comic is fascinating in its existence.
And
Like,
then
all of Savage
God
Dragon is
proceeds
ridiculous.
to beat the shit out of the Savage Dragon. Not the Savage Dragon, out of Satan, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have the trade called A Talk with God.
Nice.
I don't know why it's called that, because it's like a piece of one issue.
Because that's what people would remember.
But because that's what people remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Savage Dragon was full of stuff that was Eric Larson going, I wonder if I could get away with this. And then getting away with it. Him going, well, shit, hang on. And then later he'd be like, I wonder if I could get away with this. And then he got away with it, and he goes, all right, you really want to play? Hang on a minute.
Like, that was how you sold comics in the 90s. Like, if you weren't Marvel and DC and just rolling in your variant cover money, you had to be edgy as hell.
Yeah.
Like, this was the era of, like, McFarlane stuff. Like, this is the Spawn time. Like, you had to convince 14-year-olds that you were the most edgy. And Savage Dragon was a contender.
Except he didn't try to convince people he was most edgy. He just did whatever he wanted to do.
This is what Larson does. Like, he's more, you're right, he's not doing this on purpose. It's just someone realized that this is his natural state and decided to give him some ability to do it. And yeah.
Yeah. Like, and you could find a list of crazy shit that happened in Savage Dragon comics. It would blow your mind.
It's the kind of stuff that those random Facebook threads of 50 things you won't believe happened, full of spam ads, and they would have to pick their top 50. They'd have to look at it for a long time to find just 50 unbelievable things in Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It was weird back then. Like, that's still one of the problems I have with rereading some old stuff that I have. Like, Preacher. I love Preacher. I love it. It, like, the overarching story is so good, but they had to punctuate it with, oh my god, like crazy, gross, or whatever shit, because that's what Garth Ennis did.
Yeah.
And so, like, reading back through it, it's like, wow, this is really good. Oh, Jesus. No pun intended. And then, all right, well, we'll get over that. And we're moving along. This is really good. This is really good. Oh, damn. Come on. And they just kept doing that throughout the entire...
That's how I feel when I watch the old Juggernaut videos, too.
Yeah, but that
a
was...
lot of the Juggernaut lines were funny, and there's a lot that are not okay.
But the difference is that was a bunch of idiots in college. This was
they were not given any official sanction to do anything.
These were officially, like, professional comics people. And, like, the shock humor is great, I guess, to sell books and for, like, word of mouth, but they don't really help with the...
No.
With the, longevity.
What problematic things do you have nostalgia for, Cluze?
Yeah, Cluze.
Everything from the 80s and 90s. I don't know.
Cluze is like, heavy metal.
Things I have nostalgia for that are problematic.
Because, like, most of 90s comic books were problematic.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, I was a comics collector just slightly before either of your times, which is why G.I. Joe the movie does have some issues. So a lot of, like, the Savage Dragon, Exo Man of War, all that kind of stuff was happening right about the time I was not collecting comics anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was a lot of stuff in comics that was problematic. Here's one that's tamely problematic, shall we say? So, we've got the Disney Plus now, right?
Yeah.
And so we've been rewatching some old like Disney cartoon series that we used to watch when we were younger. Lately, we've been watching The Emperor's New School, and I don't know if you watched it when it was on. It was pun filled and mildly amusing, and it's got Patrick Warburton, and who doesn't love Patrick Warburton?
He's
But
fun.
my God, the character of Cusco is a horrible human being. Like
Yes.
just the most sexist, misogynistic jackass you could possibly encounter.
You had
And
me
so
at the
yeah,
wait.
a lot of that is highly problematic in
Yeah,
in a
I feel like
rewatch.
one of the problems that you run into whenever you get the Disney style adaptation cartoons based on movies is that whatever the character learns by the end of the movie is undone,
Yeah.
so that they can be the character they were at the beginning of the movie for the show, and
And
that's unfortunate.
and it happens that way on like a per episode basis as well, because whatever he learns in one episode, it's gone by the next.
Um, like I remember, I liked a lot of the Disney, like movie based cartoons. Like I like the Aladdin cartoon,
Mhm.
but a lot of the time the characters are kind of dumb or not as advanced as they should be based on their life experiences because ultimately they're trying to hook you with who they were for most of the movie, not for who they are at the end of it, or there's no like lazy way to drop them into existing tropes. um, I think when it comes to things that I really liked when I was a kid but are problematic as an adult, I didn't realize until I rewatched part of it how much the Chipmunks movie is full of national stereotypes.
The cartoon movie?
The cartoon movie,
God,
the
I
one where
haven't
they're
seen that
traveling
in
all over the world. Like,
years.
the soundtrack was really good to be Chipmunks, oddly enough.
I loved it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Every once in a while, for some reason, Off to See the World will still pop into my head, and I'll be
it's a good theme.
why am I thinking of this?
It's
And
on
I
my
still
iPhone.
love My Pierre Cardin Sucks. I love that, but
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it in so long. I can't even.
Like, so I will say the the Girls of Rock and Roll thing is an absolutely amazingly animated sequence.
Yes.
That was great. It's got like a few errors in it, but that's fine. It was a great sequence. And I heard a version on YouTube where someone took the Diamond Dolls song from the end and they unchipmunked it, and it sounded like a really catchy pop song that really would have just taken off in the 90s if it had been released as a pop song.
Really?
Yeah, it was really catchy.
Sorry, it's called The Chipmunk Adventure. Excuse us.
The Chipmunk Adventure. There you go. Yeah. I still liked the movie on the rewatch. It was still fun, but it has a lot of issues that I didn't catch when I was a kid because I was a kid.
Where in the hell did you watch this?
YouTube.
Ah, okay.
Someone had just uploaded the entire movie to YouTube, and no one called them on it.
Okay. You know what? I might watch that later.
But like the weird things are like, yeah, they've got stereotypes from all these countries they go to, which is like bad, but cartoons. Old cartoons did that a lot. But also, like, I didn't really realize how much they were sexualizing the Chipettes. And that's weird. That's just weird.
Oh.
Because,
they?
like, well, there's
Oh.
one bit where they go to a Middle Eastern country.
Oh,
And
right.
prince of the Middle Eastern country decides he wants to marry one of them, and it's very clear
No.
where this was going for like the parents watching this. It went over the heads of the children, but yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Right. I put that on watch later. Yes.
And they've also got some bits where like the Chipettes are singing songs that were way more sexually suggestive than I realized at the time because I was a child. So that's weird too. But as an overall movie, it's still fun. Like it's enjoyable. The music's good, especially given their chipmunking things. And as a premise, it's incredibly stupid. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that fun like 80s, 90s kind of thing. Yeah. Let's see. Jumping over to the chat. Piccolo mentioning Rescue Rangers. I still remember the lyrics to the Cuckoo Cola song. Like that stays with you for life.
I must have missed that episode because I've heard lots of people go off on it, and I'm like, okay, but I don't think I ever saw that episode.
That's fair.
Yeah, I have these vague recollections of it.
I will not sing it at you as a friend.
No, that's totally fair, totally fine.
But I will remember it forever, and it will occasionally pop into my head. And when I was in Japan, in the Japanese Disney store, they had so much Rescue Ranger merch. I'm like,
Really?
why do you have Rescue Ranger merch? And that made me wonder if, since the new DuckTales is doing tie-ins to like Darkwing Duck and other stuff, if they're setting up for doing new Rescue Rangers. But I'm like, why do you have Rescue Ranger merch? This is really old.
Maybe it's just super popular over there for some reason.
It could be. I don't know.
I don't know. It was a damn good platformer, though.
Oh, yeah, the video game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the Rescue Rangers probably did show up in DuckTales. All that I've heard about the new DuckTales is that apparently everything that I loved is about the Disney afternoon block is slowly finding its way into that. Yeah. And they're committing all into just making something amazing. And that David Tennant is doing a great job as Scrooge McDuck and no one is surprised. And I have not actually seen it, but my adult friends are like, you should watch this. And I'm like, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. That is what I've heard. I watched the first episode that was free on YouTube, and I was like, damn, that was really good. And that's all I've seen.
Cluze is watching the Cuckoo Cola bit, isn't he?
I was, yeah. Yeah, I pasted it in the chat there for anybody who...
Yeah, dangerous.
Do either, speaking of songs that are just etched into the brain and won't come back out, do you happen to remember an episode of the original G.I. Joe cartoon where I believe it was the Dreadnoughts made a fake band called Cold Slither? Do you remember that one?
No. I was not into the G.I. Joe cartoon, unfortunately.
All right. Well, let me just...
Yeah, that was before me. I did not really G.I. Joe cartoon.
I was He-Man and Transformers. Not so much G.I. Joe.
Our age differences kick off pretty hard because I was like straight Ninja Turtles. Do I want to click on this Cluze? Will it stay in my head forever? He's not responding. That means yes.
Yeah, sorry. I was listening to Cold Slither and it was slightly too loud. I had to...
I'm sorry. Magic card.
I'm sorry, what?
Cold Slither has to be a magic card.
It is not.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, because if it was, it would be blue, and Cluze's head would actually explode. Hi, Jen.
I feel like I should take this footage and then splice it in with Jim and the holograms and see if anyone notices.
What's really weird is she opened the door and then immediately closed it.
Oh.
Huh. One of my favorite things about Cold Slither is the song is later then referenced in another G.I. Joe episode, like much later. So there was a G.I. Joe aircraft carrier called the Flag, the USS Flag.
Yeah.
And it was sunk when the Cobra helicarrier crashed into it. And it sank to the bottom of the ocean. But there was a guy who survived. I believe he was the cook, possibly on the Cobra helicarrier, now that I think about it. And he survived under the ocean, and he had rewired a bunch of Cobra battle android troopers, or bats, that he had as his servants. And he formed his own society down there. And in an episode called Raise the Flag, the Joes go down to try and bring the flag back up for reasons. And the national anthem that he plays, because he captures them and he puts them on trial, he plays Cold Slither, like on a record player.
Because of course he does.
Yeah, because of course he does. And I just thought it was absolutely great
Like,
that they made
continuity is not a common
callback.
thing for
Now, the
shows.
thing is, I can't prove any of what I just said, but that's what I remember. So I don't know if that really happened or if it's just what I wanted to happen. But I do know that in my basement, I have the box set of all of the G.I. Joe episodes on DVD. It was shaped like a little foot locker. I have that, and I should go and dig it out and try and find it because now I want to watch that.
The last time I watched G.I. Joe, I just went through the episode where they went into the alternate universe where Cobra was in charge of everything.
Oh, sure.
And I just took a bunch of screen caps of all the different monuments that were Cobra-ized, and then I would post them on Facebook when I was sufficiently mad at the government.
There's a link for you, Cluze.
To that specific episode.
Raise the flag. There it is.
The fight between the Joes and Cobra to retrieve a Cobra antimatter pod may pale in comparison to the threat both face in the sunken USS Flag. A certifyingly, don't think that's the right word, mad cook who believes he's the last surviving member of Cobra. That sounds amazing.
Yep.
Oh, this is reminding me that there's someone out there named Jack Angel, and their credits include wetsuit voice. It's gonna stay with you forever.
Oh boy.
I loved the G.I. Joe the movie, though. Even though I didn't really watch the show, I thought the movie was awesome because it just was. How could you not?
Well, I mean, Chuckles was a main character, even though he had no voice, but he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, so that was fine.
That's true. And there was someone called Nemesis Enforcer.
Yep.
And that's how people referred to him was
and
Nemesis Enforcer.
Burgess Meredith, of all people, was the voice
of Globulus.
Of Globulus, yeah.
And he's one of the ones that had said Nemesis Enforcer, and you could tell he was trying so hard to make those two words together, sound like a name and intimidating.
And once a man. That's all I want to say.
Oh my god. I only need to hear to fracture your rear.
Oh boy.
Because he was blinded.
Yeah.
And he spoke in rhymes.
He always spoke in rhymes for no good reason.
Well, because he was black.
And
it was from the 80s.
I assume it was a brain tumor, honestly.
You said before about shameful things from
exactly.
Yeah.
I do remember. Excuse me. I did have. So there were several multi-part storylines that were released as like VHS movies,
like
essentially.
With the Weather Dominator and
stuff you saw on like the comic book rack type thing next to the checkout at like Winn-Dixie.
Sure.
That's where I saw most of those tapes.
But I had the one with the Weather Dominator, and there was another one. And I always really enjoyed those because they were just good. I also had on VHS the first story arc of Voltron, which was essentially a movie. Yeah. Because it was 5 episodes, so it was roughly an hour and a half film. They did that a lot with those cartoons back then.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the DVD of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, the movie, is temporarily out of stock. But they tell me here, and I quote, "We are working hard to be back in stock."
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what it says right here, man.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Someone's got a DVD burner and they're churning them out, man.
Oh, wait, but the Blu-ray is in stock.
Oh, good.
And it's only $3 more. You got
that at less than 1080p.
It was only $3 more.
Oh, God.
What was the name of the French guy? What?
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, and I feel bad about that.
The French guy?
In G.I. Joe?
In G.I. Joe?
There was a French guy in G.I. Joe?
I don't think he was one of the regular characters, because...
I'm wondering if this is like a some kind of stand-up. Oh, and Voltron.
Oh, and Voltron.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes a lot more
Oh
sense.
God. I don't think he was French, but I can Sven. Right?
That doesn't sound French to me.
No, I don't know. I didn't watch Voltron.
Yeah. Sven. Yeah, he was not French, I don't think.
You see, when
Sven,
someone
he was Norwegian,
like, I feel like
but he
there
wasn't
should
blonde.
I feel like there should be some kind of Cards Against Humanity type game, but in it you're naming GI Joes or Transformers using some random words that you throw together. It just feels like you could make that game.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also just take any word and put man after it and have a He-Man character.
That's
Oh, yeah.
definitely true.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, Hydrant Man.
Did you guys know that they're making a Cards Against Humanity Family Edition?
You mean
What?
apples to apples?
Nope. Although
That's what it is.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
I mean, like, Cards Against Humanity is just apples to apples for people that like boobs, as you should. But
Everyone likes boobs.
I don't know. I'm kind of tired of Cards Against Humanity, and I have been tired of Cards Against Humanity for like 8 years. So I'm maybe not a good audience for this.
I've only ever played a couple times, and the first time was with my family,
Oof.
and the very first hand or round or whatever you call it, the winning answer was Daniel Radcliffe's Delicious Butthole, and that was the one my mom submitted.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the best game that anyone's ever played ever. We cannot possibly top this.
We have to stop.
You retired on top, undefeated and untied, like Bill Murray.
But like, we played for several hours that night, and we all were in pain by the time we were done because we'd been laughing so hard because, it was us.
I feel like this is one of those things, like, groups of nerds really liked playing it at conventions, and they still do. And I have sat at so many groups of way too many people playing Cards Against Humanity over the years, where, like, it's going around like 12 people because it's the only thing that scales up to a large group. So every round takes forever. And you see all the cards, and you've seen all the cards before, and there's inevitably some strangers, so you don't really know what works for them, and it just sort of loses a lot of the fun of it. And I got tired of it. I'm having the same problem at this point with a bunch of the Jackbox games, because like the Jackbox Party Pack has been the go-to way to entertain a group of people with phones at a party, because it takes up their phone, so they have to interact with the rest of you instead of just looking at their phone. I feel like I've seen that often enough now that I'm kind of bored with it too, even though there's a bunch of different games in it. And I'm like, I've done Fibbage and Quiplash so many times that I just don't care anymore. I worry that some of these things are too effective and then burn out. But, I mean, to credit, I appreciate every year how the Cards Against Humanity people find some way to do something horrible for April Fool's Day that makes me laugh. So, if they keep that up, I'm happy.
Oh man, you remember the year when everything was so bad that we just canceled April Fool's Day? That was this year, by the way.
It's because you couldn't top what was actually in the headlines with your lies.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was right when things were getting real bad, so like at least the dorks and I, we just didn't feel like it. We were like, there's no way we can bother.
No. The only good thing that came out of April Fool's Day this year was Googly Eyes. That was fun.
Oh, and Overwatch. Yeah, that was the best thing ever.
Googly Eye option. It's simple and it's fun.
Yeah, I think if they were to add Googly Eyes as an option, I would just turn it on and leave it on forever.
Yeah, totally. I would turn it on, and then we would be getting brand new skins. You'd be like, oh, look at the eyes on this one. And it'd be great. But that was fun. I appreciate that.
It did make us, like, Bill and Gothic and I spent a long time that one night that we played during the week that it was on, going through all of our characters and changing up all the skins for the ones that worked best with Googly Eyes.
We did that for like an hour, and it was amazing.
It was
'Cause
great.
we see one that was funny, and we tell each other, and we'd all run over and like check it out.
Yeah, Bill will be like, oh my god, go to Genji and look at this skin. And we go, okay, hang on. Because we were all on Discord while we were doing it. Because we were playing, but first we had to set up all our
skins. We would
skins.
try the different ones with the different like victory poses and the different video, and they were all just amazing. And like my favorite one is still when you go with Tracer and she has the lion dance thing, because it just looks like the normal one until the lion's mouth opens. There's just big old googly eye Tracer inside. It was amazing. I loved all of that. Everything with Reaper was also funny. Because like he'd shrug and it would make the little eye thing move. That was great. They wasted so much physics on that, and I love it.
I love it. I wonder if there were people who could like only barely run Overwatch but still get by that were bogged down by the googly eyes.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Excuse me. Because I would hate to be that guy.
You see the Hanzo dragons. Big hey guys.
Oh my god. I still love Gothic to death because he got a Hanzo ult in Mr. Heroes and he goes, Chewy, Chewy, Chewy. And I just knew. So I like got in front of him and ran backwards and said, fire! And there's giant dragons coming at me and went through me and killed half of the team, and it was the best. And I said, I think you were dead or somewhere else, but I was right in front of him, and he really wanted me to see it.
Great. We need more of those things.
We do. There was a new developer whatever update video released today, but I didn't watch it yet.
Theoretically, they're starting the like anniversary thing tomorrow, according to leaks. But leaks are about as reliable as anything. So.
Well, gentlemen, we've been at this for like 2.5 hours.
That sounds
Not
right.
quite, yeah.
We're getting there.
I'm thinking I'm gonna wrap up here soon.
Yeah, I think googly eyes is a good topic to wrap up on.
I think so. What?
Man,
Tech, does that do anything?
we don't have a bot.
Yeah, I don't have a bot.
You should get a bot.
If we had
with
a bot,
googly
it would be named Cluze 9000.
Oh, we need that. Can we get that?
You're responsible for bringing your own bot, Cluze.
I don't know how to do bots in Twitch.
I actually asked Cap about getting a bot because I hate it when people come into my Skyrim streams and be like, "What mods are you running?" I'm like, I don't know, like a bunch, but not like a stupid amount. But you know, there's a lot, and I don't remember all of them. So I want to be able to have someone go !mods and it just give them a list or send them a link to a list.
Sure.
Just so I don't have to keep answering that question over and
Hey, a
over.
beginner's guide to Twitch bots. Look at this.
Yeah, I think Cap recommended Nightbot, which is not one that you can rename, but is useful for the basic things I would want it to do.
Nightbot sounds like a Futurama superhero.
Or like something pornish.
I mean, obviously that, but that was just applied.
Pornish. Like a pornish hen.
Yeah, that's the joke I was going to make, but I thought it would be inappropriate. So
Isn't that a GI Joe?
It may be.
Or was it a He-Man character?
No, that would be like Pornish Man.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think maybe you need a bot that will randomly generate a He-Man character.
That is too much power for one bot.
That would be better as a Twitter bot, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
You guys remember when we just followed all of those Twitter bots all the time that were producing magic cards and stuff?
Do you remember when on Twitter you didn't oscillate between "that's a funny, cute thing" and "oh God, I hate all of humanity"? Do you remember that?
No.
No,
That's how Twitter's always been for me.
I honestly took a note from Chewy and just stopped looking at my feed.
Oh, hey,
I see
I
what I've
wonder.
tagged on, and that's about it.
I wonder if that rocket fell back to Earth today. It
Like the
was
raccoon?
supposed to. Yeah, so China had put up a test for their new like manned rocket system,
Yeah.
and the like first stage booster was supposed to plunge back to Earth today. It was rather large and was coming back uncontrolled, and we didn't know where it was going to land.
Okay. That
Yeah,
sounds irresponsible
yeah,
and like the kind of thing that you shouldn't be allowed to do, internationally speaking, because it's incredibly irresponsible and without regard for borders.
yeah, yeah. It seems like a terrible thing.
However, there are places where I want it to fall now that I know this is a possibility.
Does anyone know where Mitch McConnell is currently? Unrelated question. Anyway, right. Well, how about we say thank you to everybody for joining us and then stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
We have rambled at you for some time.
We have.
Thank you for contributing with the chat because you actually gave us a lot of structure.
You did.
Yeah. So, yeah, with that, I guess we will be done with this M&M Dorks talk about stuff or whatever I name it. I will probably do like I did with that not episode of the Mana Pool and chop it up into, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 episodes. Because that way people get more bite-sized things
Just go like
that
by
are...
topic or whatever.
Do what?
Did you go like by topic or something?
Yeah. When the Dorks and I did it, it was amazingly easy to find a break point
Okay.
where everything before it was like these 2 topics and everything after it was these 2 topics. I was like, wow.
Probably the parts where you don't see us talking for like 5 seconds. We're all figuring out what to do next.
No, I mean, like, there was very little, like, crossover. Like, once we left a topic, we never went back to it.
That doesn't sound like this show at all.
Not at
No, it
all,
doesn't.
no.
In that case, hey, you guys like Airplane?
So, hey, if I did do that and you're watching this later on YouTube, let me know what you thought and if you enjoyed it. But otherwise, I think we're going to stop. So, hey, Squee and Cluze, thank you so much for
Yeah, sure.
coming to hang out with me and talk at people. Because if they were like, I don't really want to do that tonight, I was going to have to come up with something else to stream. And goodness knows I don't have that sort of ability. Yeah. So, yes, I guess that's it. So, hey, thank you all so very much for joining us. And go do a thing, whatever thing. I don't know. Go chat about random things.
Go wash your hands.
Go wash your freaking hands.